Today, we're diving into a really monumental work of philosophy called the Yoga Sharabhumi Shastra. Now, our mission here is to see how this ancient text gives us a surprisingly modern toolkit for taking apart, for deconstructing our own reality. So let's just jump right in.
You know the feeling, right? Our minds can be, well, a total mess. Just this constant stream of thoughts, emotions, and sensations all jumbled together. It can feel pretty overwhelming. But what if there's actually a system behind all that chaos? What if there's a way to, well, to map it all out? And according to this text, the answer is a huge yes. It's not asking for blind faith or anything like that. Instead, it literally hands us a blueprint, a kind of schematic for the mind and for reality itself. It basically invites us to become the technicians of our own experience. Okay, so first things first, we need to get a handle on the basic approach of this text. Its whole goal is to create this one single blueprint that can account for all phenomena, or, as they're called, dharmas. And in this context, dharmas just means the most basic, fundamental building blocks of our experience. Think about it like this. If you wanted to understand, say, a really complex engine, you wouldn't just stare at it, right? Of course not. You'd get the parts list, you'd study the wiring diagram, and you'd learn how every little piece works together. This text does that exact same thing. But the complex machine it's taking apart is our own consciousness. So let's start with that parts list. The text breaks down all of reality into what it calls the 18 worlds or realms of experience. You can think of this as the absolute fundamental hardware of our existence. And the text asks this very same question. If we were to pause and break down any given moment, like this moment right now, into its most basic, indivisible parts, what would we actually find? The word for these basic parts is tatu. And wow, the definition here is incredibly rich. A tatu isn't just a static thing, it's a dynamic force. It's a cause, a seed full of potential, and it's the very nature that holds up a piece of our reality. This tells us right from the get-go that we're dealing with an active, deeply interconnected system. And here it is, the complete system laid out. It looks a little complex, but it's actually so elegant. Let's break it down. The 18 dhatus are just 3 groups of 6. You've got your sense faculties, the eye, the ear, and so on. Then you have their matching objects, sights for the eye, sounds for the ear, and then when a faculty meets its object, that third thing pops into existence, a specific consciousness, like eye consciousness. The claim here is that every single moment you experience is just some combination of these 3 things. Nothing more, nothing less. And this isn't just some abstract theory either. The text makes sure to ground it in our actual lives. It explains that the order, sight, then sound, then touch, is set up that way because that's how we really interact with the world. You know, you see someone first, then you hear them say hello, then maybe you shake their hand. It's totally logical and built around human experience. All right, so we've got the components, the hardware, so to speak, but how does it all plug together and run? Now we need to look at the operating system, the core principles that make the whole thing work. So what is that process? What's the causal algorithm, the logic that connects one moment to the next and weaves together the story of our lives? Well, the text introduces this as the core principle of dependent origination. I mean, just listen to that definition. It's so powerful. It's saying that nothing, absolutely nothing exists on its own. Everything is radically interdependent. Things pop into existence not because some creator decided it, but just because all the right causes and conditions fell into place. And just as quickly as they appear, they fade away. Now, this is a really important distinction the text makes. The process of causality itself, that whole web of connections, is called dependent arising. But the results of that process, any specific thing that pops up, is called dependently arisen. It's like separating the algorithm from the data it spits out. In this process isn't random, it follows a very specific 12-step chain. It all kicks off with a fundamental misunderstanding of how reality works, what's called ignorance. That then conditions our habits, which shapes our consciousness, our perceptions, and on it goes. The text maps out all 12 of these links, showing how that one initial blind spot inevitably leads to the universal facts of aging and death. But why? Why map this all out in such insane detail? Why be so obsessed with cause and effect? Well, the text is very clear. It's a diagnostic tool. By understanding this chain, we can pinpoint exactly where and how suffering starts, from its deepest roots all the way to its final expression. It's about finding the exact points where we can step in and make a change.
And that brings us to the whole point of this entire framework. It's not just about knowing things intellectually, it's about seeing things differently, about totally transforming our perception. All of this analysis, the 18 datus, the 12 links of causation, it's all designed for one purpose: to give us a brand new lens to look at our own experience through. It's a map that, once you really understand it, actually changes your relationship with the territory itself. And this quote just ties it all together perfectly. The whole reason for identifying the parts, the datus, is to make the operating system visible, that invisible process of cause and effect and interaction. You can't get the system if you don't know the components, and the components don't make any sense unless you see how the system is running them. So, this brings us to the final, really profound takeaway. After we've deconstructed reality into its basic parts and mapped out the completely interdependent process that links them all, we're left with a pretty massive question. If everything is just this impersonal flow of causes and conditions, what does that mean for the solid, unchanging me we all feel we are? Where is it? And that is the core insight this entire blueprint is built to provoke.